Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV, and today we're going to be looking at the arpeggiation and sequencing abilities inside of Repro 1, as well as making some cool sounds. So let's dive right into it. So our first order of business is first, let's go to the Initialized Patch so that we're all starting with the same thing. Now, if you play some notes, you should have a lovely sawtooth waveform. The next step we're going to do is first, we're going to come down to the ARP section and configure ourselves the ability to have an arpeggiation happen. So we have to choose if we're going to use the LFO or the clock. I'm going to use the clock. We also need to turn on an arpeggiation option. So we have here the ability to play arpeggios just by hitting more than one note and then having it play the notes up and down the keyboard. For example, we could choose up. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust this clock to be 16th notes. And of course, you can go up and down, have some fun with it. And that's the first way to do things. The second way is to use the sequencer area, which is an entire tab over here. Now, to sequence in a pattern, put it in record mode and simply play in the notes that you would like to have happen. So I'll just go ahead and do like a minor chord. And with that being done, just go ahead and put it in play mode. And now when you play a note, I'm pushing one note, we can see our sequence has been populated by different notes. And our last note has been set to 9 by these brackets. We're going to go ahead and move that over to 8. And we have got ourselves a basic sequence running. You can also add in additional patterns, make it much longer. You can even combine the first pattern with the second one to make like a super long pattern. But we have ourselves the basic editing, so pretty straightforward from there. Now we can get into some interesting sound design. So now that we have this all set up, I'm going to go ahead and dial up the glide a little bit. I think that sounds pretty cool. And let's go ahead and go to the synth page, and it would be really cool to have a filter envelope trigger for each one of these individual sequence steps. So I'm going to go ahead and move the cutoff down a ways. And it's very muffled right now. And we're going to go ahead and bring the envelope amount up. And we want this envelope to have no sustain and a reasonably long decay and a fast attack. Maybe something like that. So with this setup, let's go ahead and check out some of the effects that we have down here. So we have jaws. This is a distortion effect. Bring up folds a little bit. Let's go ahead and add in the delay. And next up, drench. And we're going to go ahead and bring the decay up. This will just give us nice atmosphere. What I think would be really cool is to take the decay envelope and come over and click on the keys tab down here and simply click and drag this to the decay. And what we've done is we've linked the modulation data that takes in velocity, how hard we hit the note, and it's going to change the decay. So if we go back to the sequencer tab, we can change these velocities now to alter the decay, and this will cause the filter to open it up and close differently depending on how the velocity is for each individual step. So I'm going to go ahead and make some of these higher. Maybe we'll have a sequence of some low ones, a high one, a low one, something in the middle. After you have this set up though, you still need to come in and add in some depth from the modulation that you just hooked up via the matrix. So we're going to go ahead and just dial this up some. And let's go ahead and let's dial the decay back a little bit now. So we get some really tight ones and some much more open ones. At this point, we can begin to experiment with some additional settings, such as the filter. There might be a more interesting filter type for us to use. So go into the tweaks page. We have here our oscillator types, and these are definitely worth checking out. And another thing that you want to look at is the filters. So right now we're using crispy. We could go ahead and change it to driven, which I think will work well with this sound. Bring the resonance up. We also have poly, rounded, and crispy. I'm I'm going to go ahead and go to driven again. I'm going to bring the resonance down. And I'm going to come into the filter envelope, and I'm going to go ahead and extend the release and bring the attack up some. I think that works pretty well right there. And finally, I'm going to mess with some additional performance options. So we've been using the sequencer the entire time. I often find it very inspiring to go ahead and turn that off and use the ARP instead. And check it out. But you notice immediately that our filter envelope isn't triggering for every individual note, so we can turn on retrigger mode, and this will make it so that every note that's triggered via the ARP will get its own filter envelope. Pretty fun. Another thing that's really some of my favorite sounds are these fast sort of arpeggios just running up the keyboard. Those sorts of things. And on that one, I would automate the cutoff as we move up. Oh my gosh, yes. And then come in and mess with the reverb. Perhaps on this, the decay could be as high as you possibly can go, probably. And away you go. The song almost writes itself after this. The sounds that come out of this synth are just so good. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and hit that bell icon for future videos. And have a blessed day.